This podcast is about storytelling. I am your host, Dr. Mijiza Sanchez-Guzman, Associate Dean of the Office of Medical Student Affairs and the founder of the First Generation Mentorship Program at Stanford Medicine, and I am proud to be first generation. Many of us are the first in our families to accomplish living the dream. Being the first means different things to different people. Join me now on a journey as we share our stories about how we've navigated being first generation in academic medicine. I will have the honor and pleasure of interviewing first generation clinicians, leaders, mentors, students, faculty, and researchers as they share their lived experiences of being the first. I hope these stories will inspire the next generation of leaders in health sciences. Welcome to the Trailblazers Navigating First Gen Success Vodcast. I'm so excited to be able to speak with my friend and colleague, Sonoo Thadaney Israni. Welcome, Sonoo.
Thank you, Mijiza. I'm delighted and honored to be here with you.
Sonoo, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you to the field of academic medicine?
Absolutely. Um, I was born in India. My parents were refugees and immigrants. And um, they believed, like many immigrants and refugees believe, that the world can take away a lot of things from you. The two things the world can never take away from you is the knowledge you're willing to put into your head and your willingness to work hard. That meant I was the first in my family to graduate from college, thus a first gen student, and a belief and a commitment to take the values of my parents and the choices they had made to make my life what it has become, to be one where what matters is that all of us benefit from the choices our world makes. And academic medicine is one way to actually do that. I spent 25 years working in high tech before I came to Stanford 15 years ago. And I've had the joy and pleasure at Stanford of having some part of my salary paid for by all our 7 schools. The largest chunk has been in academic medicine since I came here in 2013, I believe. Or was it 2012?
Can you tell us what you do here at Stanford?
Besides making trouble, uh, what I do here is I work with our faculty and our leadership to create and build change. And for the last 10 years, I've been working with my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Abraham Verghese, where we co-founded a center together back in 2017, curated and supported by our dean's office. The center is called Presence, and Abraham is our faculty director. I serve as the executive director, and our focus has been making sure that as we build and create innovation and change in healthcare, we do so by ensuring that we don't forget the humans, who are, of course, the patients and their friends and families, but also the providers, who are all human, surrounded by other humans, delivering the care that we all need.
Thank you, Sonoo. Can you share with us what are some of the barriers or challenges that you faced as you pursued your career?
I think some of the challenges that I face are not unusual for people who lack other forms of privilege as well, whether it is race and ethnicity or gender and sex or age. In my case, it was some of those things plus being first gen. First, I only realized what value there is in a kitchen table wisdom from family, especially parents, when I was able to give it to my daughters. And when I was able to do that, I realized I didn't have this. I didn't have these conversations. My parents loved me and my siblings implicitly. They gave us a magical childhood. And we never had conversations around what professional paths one wants to take, what should one think about, I didn't have that sounding board that I know my daughters have with me, even today as adult women.
Mm-hmm.
And then academic medicine as a whole is fairly hierarchical. And my background, academic background, is psychology, sociology, education, and an MBA. And I think sometimes doors don't get opened because I don't have a doctorate and I don't have an MD. But then I didn't have conversations with people starting at my kitchen table urging me to think like that. The fact that I graduated from college was a huge accomplishment for me and my family.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. What do you wish you knew before entering the world of academic medicine as a first generation professional?
What I wish I had known and somehow luckily got without knowing that I knew it were allies and sponsors. I'll take Abraham as an example. He is a truly amazing human being and has often been that thought partner, pushing me to think about things I hadn't thought about, urging me to walk through doors that I didn't think I had the right to walk through, supporting me in the crazy ideas I come up with, and speaking for me as an ally when I'm not in the room. And he's not alone. My friend and colleague, Dr. Carla Pugh, is the same way. We walk every Monday as long as both of us are in town. She does the same. And I can name others, including yourself, who've often opened doors and engaged me as a thought partner to create and build things that we both believe in. And the Sonoo who was born in the 1960s in Pune, India, would have never imagined that this is what I would be doing today.
I always tell students that we are our ancestors' wildest dreams.
I
Well,
agree.
speak,
And sorry, can I add one more thing there to
sure.
your comment? Anita Hill was on campus a couple months ago, and she said many wonderful things, but one of them was that life and the change we all want to build is not just a function of the fact that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but it's a relay. And the relay to me says that each of us builds on strengths, skills, and choices made by others, both in our lives and in our communities and in our world. And what we do today will be a piece of the foundation for others to build on.
Speaking of crazy ideas, it was you that planted the seed in my head. I remember having lunch with you and you making a comment about how excited I am about our first gen program. Can you tell me why you thought this would be a good idea?
Delighted to, and I'm so delighted you're doing this, Mijiza. The stories that help build our realities are often not documented, often not told, and sometimes are hidden from a sense of, oh, it's not important, or perhaps shame, perhaps God knows what. And normalizing it, sharing those stories, the strengths, the struggles, all of it. If I had heard these stories before, it would have helped me. And I suspect that other first gen students, upon hearing these stories, will find strength from them as well. And this became real to me when I worked with Sally Dixon and Tommy Boone more than a decade ago to launch Stanford University's first gen office. And when those first gen students met with me and heard that I was a first gen student, they were like, really? I had no idea. And then we had conversations around careers and career paths and choices like that, but we also had conversations around, on a budget, how do you dress the way you do?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
making it real, making it not hidden. We often celebrate awards and Nobel laureates. I think celebrating human choices and real things, like you can dress by shopping at Target and still look pretty darn good. Make it all real and normalize it. That's why I urged you to do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What advice would you give to someone who's interested in pursuing a career in academic medicine?
I think it would be the same advice I would give for almost any career at a general level. Decide what you love, figure out what your true north is, come up with your own report card of how you're going to evaluate success for yourself, and then pursue it. Life everywhere, including in academic medicine, will have stumbles, and your ability and willingness to work through those and overcome those will be a function of being connected to your true north. Lacking that, using external validation, which academic medicine and many other fields put forth for us, has us pretzeling ourselves unnecessarily. But if one does it because one believes in it, one cares about it, and that's one's own personal report card, then you find a way through it.
Mm, mm. I love that term, pretzeling ourselves. And by the way, Sally Ditson is one of my mentors. So, Sally, if you're watching, hi.
Hello, Sally.
How has being first generation shaped how you've approached your training or your professional career?
I think because I'm first generation and the daughter of immigrants and refugees, at a young age, and the kitchen table conversations around unconditional love and commitment had to do with what are your values and why does that matter to you? I mean, as a first gen student, you break a lot of systems around you in a way.
Yeah.
Um, I had a lot of family members, not my parents, family members and other community members who said, "You're a girl. Why do you need a college degree? You're a girl. You shouldn't wear pants. You're a girl. You shouldn't wear sleeveless clothes." So that's pretty basic stuff. You're breaking rules all the time. But if you're going to break rules, then you have to be clear about why you're breaking them and why it's important. And I think for me, that came from being both a first gen student as well as the daughter of immigrants and refugees, and being brown and being born. I'm on the right side of 60, my side of 60. Um, so breaking rules meant I was breaking rules all the time, but I had to do it with intentionality. And I think a piece of what has helped me professionally and personally is intentionality. What I work on, who I spend time with, when and where I choose to break the rules, what I pursue, and what I say no to.
Mm, hmm. Can you say more about saying no?
I teach a leadership class and I teach restorative justice, as you know. And in those discussions and courses, I often describe the fact that whenever we say yes to something, we're saying a silent no to something else.
Hmm.
And often that silent no is around weakening the effort we're going to put into the things we've already made a commitment to, and or giving up sleep and sanity.
Hmm.
And as a first gen student and all the other identities I have, the mantra was, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Hmm.
It took me a lot of therapy and a lot of thinking to realize that not every lemon was mine to make lemonade of.
I love
And
that.
not every opportunity should be pursued, because one does give up the impact on the existing commitments and or sleep insanity. And if I make lemonade out of every lemon that comes my way, then I become part of every circus. And I don't have to be part of that.
Do you believe that your first generation status influenced your career choices and trajectory? And if so, in what ways?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the other day I was reading an article in the BBC about a program that still runs in India where villagers are asked to trained on how to use cow dung as a source of fuel versus cutting down trees. And I remember as a teenager volunteering in that program. So why did I pick that program? Because it wasn't cool as a teenager to be running around villages in India trying to convince farmers and their families to use cow dung as fuel versus firewood. And it had to do with this understanding that we are part of a connected world. And in that connected world, nature is part of who we are.
Mm,
I think as a first gen student and as a first gen person, one understands and accepts the importance and the need and the value of a village, both physical and virtual, including things like climate change, and the need for all of it to be respected and engaged and integrated and supported for the long term versus personal, individual, quote unquote, progress.
mm. Well said. How do you believe we can make the field of academic medicine more inclusive and accessible to first gen students or professionals?
I think we become more real. We give up the facades as much as possible. We
Mm,
talk about how the blessings of a skinned knee, how we learn from our struggles, how I know I have, and I suspect many of us have learned more from our failures than from our successes, and being open about that, such that for someone, when it happens the first time or the nth time, they don't feel alone. They don't feel, well, I guess I don't fit in, or I shouldn't even try any further, or I'm never going to succeed. So I think being real, being honest, being open about failures as much as about success, and the importance and the need of asking for and taking help.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. You touched on this earlier, and I really believe in the power of mentorship, and I would not be sitting here at Stanford if it wasn't for my many mentors, yourself included. But can you discuss any mentors or relationships other than Dr. Verghese that have been particularly influential in your career?
So again, in that leadership class I teach, the restorative justice work I teach, I talk about how organizations have boards of directors and how each of us should have intentional advisors in our life.
Hmm.
Advisors when it comes to all of me, which includes being a parent. I have two women in my lives who've been my great parenting supporters. Those are the people I call even today to say, I'm navigating this particular situation as a parent of adult children. Can you be my thought partner? One is my friend Jeanette. I used to babysit her kids when I was first in Madison, Wisconsin in the early 80s. And the other is my friend Gail, who recently will be retiring soon from Stanford. And I
Mm,
met Gail on the first day of my first tech job in 1984, and we've stayed friends ever since.
wow.
I have other mentors and supporters when it comes to my work world. My friend and colleague Lynn Perrone and I started working together in tech in the 80s. And till today, every Saturday morning, as long as both of us are in town, we walk and talk about children, jobs, careers, the world, and what have you. In the world of academic medicine itself, I would say I have many thought partners and friends and allies.
Mm,
Yourself, Terrence Mays, are ones that come to mind. Carla Pugh, who I mentioned earlier,
mhm.
Donna Zolman, with whom we do a lot of our presence work. Um, there are Andy Elder, who is in Edinburgh. There are so many. I am a blessed woman. I am truly a blessed woman.
Wow. Sonu, tell me, how do you celebrate being first gen?
That's such a great question because we should celebrate that which we want to normalize. I would say I celebrate it by being open about it in as many places and spaces. Every time I introduce myself, I'll say, you can read all about me on my LinkedIn page, but let me tell you a few things that you won't know about me by reading my LinkedIn page. I'm a proud first generation student. I also celebrated by discussing it very openly, for instance, with my children, who are brilliant adult, smart women who have a lot of privilege because, amongst other things, they're not first gen.
Mm-hmm.
So I will point out to them often that they and I might be discussing a book we're all reading. And I'll point out that I never had those conversations with my parents. My mother came as a refugee and an immigrant to a country where she did not speak any of the local languages. So,
Yeah.
although she was a brilliant academic student, she never finished high school. And my father finished high school studying by streetlights. So, I'm the first to have gone to college and read the kinds of books one reads in college, which I discussed with my children, but never discussed with my parents.
Yeah. I love this idea of celebration. And I think it's important to celebrate this identity and how we show up and celebrating it as an asset.
Yes.
Let's have some fun. I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay?
Okay. Sure.
What are you reading right now?
I'm rereading Covenant of Water because I first read it when Abraham gave me a pre published version in October before it ever came out to the public. And I haven't reread it since then. So I'm
Ooh,
rereading it now and I'm looking forward to the movie or Netflix production that should be out in the next couple of years.
that's exciting. What's the last good movie you watched?
It was on Netflix. It was called Lapata Ladies. It's an independent film out of India, and it starts in a rural village in northern India, set in modern times, very traditional community. This couple gets married and they take a journey which includes everything plus a train ride. And in the train ride, they walk into a train bogie where there are other couples who've recently been married, and all the women are wearing that red traditional veil over their heads. And the guy walks off the train with the wrong bride.
I've seen the
And it's a
trailer for
feminist
that.
film.
Was it good?
Yes,
Awesome. I'm gonna check that out. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
right here.
What podcasts, if any, are you listening to?
Oh, I have about 6 or 7 podcasts that are going on right now. My favorite has always been This American Life.
That's a good one. Yeah. Is there anything else you wish to share with our viewers?
Well, first, share with you. I want to thank you for what you do. You are at the front line of navigating and supporting our students. And it is when you and your colleagues support our students the way they do, the rest of us can do the work we do. You are amongst that foundation. Your team is amongst that foundation. And I am ever so grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then to our community at Stanford and perhaps in academic medicine beyond, I see so much of that seems shredded and tattered and tired in many ways, on the one hand. And on the other hand, I see all this hype around artificial intelligence and things like that.
Mhm.
In the middle, there is that real world that we have always lived in, that we've always thrived in which we have all delivered the change we believe in and found meaning. Let's not lose sight of that.
That's not. Thank you, Sonoo.
You're welcome, Mijiza. Thank you.